Today, we're starting at the very beginning. This is going to be a structured day by day breakdown of the Nancy Guthrie case, focusing on what was publicly reported at the time everything first unfolded. So, on this video, we're going to be walking through day one, February 1st, and reconstructing the earliest known events. And at the end of this video, I'll direct you to a second video where we're going to break down how investigators typically approach the first 24 hours in a case like this.
Very concerning to us. You don't typically get the sheriff out at a scene like this, but it's very concerning what we're learning from the house, and so we'll just continue. The detectives there, our homicide team is out right now, looking at the scene as well.
You heard it from the sheriff himself. You don't typically see a sheriff out at a missing person case. But you can also see that the timeline began the night before. Nancy was dropped off at her home sometime later in the evening, and at that point, everything appeared normal. But in this missing persons case, the final confirmed moment becomes the anchor that everything else follows.
Well, we just know that, as you mentioned, the police are on scene conducting a search of the home, perhaps looking for evidence, whether it's for some nefarious purposes or to find out, what may have been left behind with regard to where she has either gone or had been taken. Um, these kind of cases, unfortunately, are very kind of vague when they first start out. We just don't know whether or not there was any foul play, or had she gone out herself on perhaps a drive, or gone out for a walk, or gone to visit friends and not returned. Certainly, as they start to progress in this case, they'll start to bring in various levels of technology, whether it happens to be the cell phone tracking mechanisms, or perhaps as they start looking at nearby, if there are surveillance cameras nearby, whether it's traffic cams or other nearby either residences or commercial establishments, they'll probably try to put together a timeline as to when she was last seen and
when she was last seen. So as the night progresses, the timeline becomes less clear. This is where the investigators begin focusing on what is often called the overnight window, the period where the normal activity appears to stop and unexplained gaps begin to form. Let's watch.
Just got a hold of something. We just got a hold of this police scanner audio from when Nancy was first reported missing on Sunday. I want to play it, and then I want to get to you, Brian, on your take on it. Let's take a listen.
Nancy, a white female, 84 years of age, 5'2", medium build, private blue. Things after 2,200 hours as of yesterday. Nancy has high blood pressure, pacemaker, and cardiac issues.
Brian, that's key, right? When we talk about the medication, when we talk about the pacemaker, that is a race against time. What did you take away from that audio?
Yeah, I mean, I pick up on the pacemaker comment. We've reported that she has the pacemaker, that it connected to the Apple Watch, that the Apple Watch was charging, and that the last time the pacemaker connected to the Apple Watch was around 2 a.m., which is presumably around the time she was kidnapped, because that's why it stopped connecting to the Apple Watch. So that's kind of what I was thinking about when I was listening to it. But yeah, it's key just because she's an 84-year-old woman who needs her medication. And I think that's one of the reasons it's sort of a race against time here. As more time passes and she doesn't have the medicine, the outcome looks more and more grim.
What makes the window critical is just not what is known, but what is missing. And in many cases, the absence of activity that signals something is wrong. It's the absence of things, not what's there, it's what's missing. And by the following day, concerns began to grow. When unexpected routines are missed, whether there's a call, an appointment, or a regular check-in, the situation quickly shifts from uncertainty to urgency, because Nancy was supposed to attend a church service online at 11 a.m. that day with her friends, as she always did regularly, and she didn't show up. And at this point, law enforcement becomes involved because the focus to establish a timeline, gathering initial information, and determining whether the situation is a voluntary walk away, something happened, or something much more serious. Now let's watch the press conference again to remind us of the known timeline and the facts that were first given to us when Nancy was first discovered missing.
We'll get started. I believe it was around noon yesterday. We got a call to the Guthrie residence that Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, was missing. We expended a lot of resources for a missing person that we typically always do. Our search and rescue volunteers, our search and rescue teams, other agencies, Borstar from Border Patrol sent their canines out. They worked tirelessly all day yesterday and all day tonight. I'm sorry, all day yesterday, all last night. To no avail. As I said yesterday, we saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we process that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime, and we're asking the community's help. This community has always stepped up to help us solve some pretty tough crimes. I'm looking for that again. This is a 84-year-old lady who suffers from some physical ailments, has some physical challenges, is in need of medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal. So we make a plea to anyone who knows anything about this, who has seen something, heard something, to contact us. Call 911. We don't.
I just have to pause to make an observation. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I'm just curious if she wasn't gonna live 24 hours about the ransom notes coming in a few days later, or a day later, I should say. Let's keep watching. Let's keep watching. What do they know at this time?
We don't need another bad, tragic ending. We need some help. Our team is the best. I couldn't speak any higher. I think you know that. We have done some great work with our partners in the Valley. You know, this community.
Wow. I'm going to rewind that because hindsight is something. Hindsight is something. And maybe I'm reading too much into this, but let's just rewind what he just said here. We don't need another tragedy. What does that mean? We don't need another tragedy? Listen to what he says here. I know he's defending his agents. I know he's defending them publicly. That's his job. And while he's never going to admit that his agency has been stripped down now because of him to people that don't want to work homicide and don't have the experience to lead this case, listen to what he says. It's very telling, actually, in hindsight.
To contact us. Call 911. We don't need another bad, tragic ending.
We don't need another bad, tragic ending. What is that talking about? Is that talking about the inexperience? Has there been another bad, tragic ending? I don't know. Tell me what you think. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. This is going to be a lot more fruitful than I was expecting, folks. Let's go. Let's watch. Let's watch with keen ears and wide open eyes.
We need some help. Our team is
help. We need some help. Well, at least Nanos knew he needed help, hence the FBI. And now I know he's going to say we need the public's help. but he also calls the FBI in. And I am extremely curious about that statement now. What are the other tragedies that these people were not able to solve? I don't know. It's very curious. Maybe I'm extrapolating too much. You tell me what you think while we listen in some more to Sheriff Nanos.
Is the best. I couldn't speak any higher. I think you know that. We have done some great work with our partners in the Valley. You know, this community, I have to give a lot of thanks to our law enforcement agencies all across this Valley, whether it's the Tucson Police Department or some of the smaller agencies. They've all reached out. They've all offered to assist. The FBI, all of them. We work so close with them, and they are all plugged in. We'll continue to work closely with them. But what I really need is I need this community to step up and start giving us some calls. Let us know if you've seen something. We are right now at a time, and I apologize, everybody tells me I talk too softly. We are at a time where, in this investigation, we're now moving forward where we need to depend on technology. You know, our license plate readers, our camera systems throughout the community, anything, everything. And we will download all that data we have from the home, from different pieces of technology we've gotten, and we will use that to our advantage. But the reason I bring this up is that, you know, I'm a cop. I hate politics, but I have to remind our political leaders that they need to quit this banter of every time law enforcement leaders come to you for a need, that you give up these ridiculous remarks about how it's going to be misused. AI is a bad, evil word. The cameras are very bad and evil. I'm tired of that. Those tools in the right hands with the right minds and the right approaches are extremely valuable.
Who's saying that? Who is telling him? Who is he talking to? By the way, morning, everybody. It is Thursday, April 14th. And while I cannot talk about my theories on the case, we can still cover just mainstream news. And this is what we're doing, critically thinking on rewinding. This is February 1st, rewind. And we're going to keep the story alive one day at a time in a rewind fashion, looking back in hindsight and retrospect as the days unfolded in Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. So let's keep listening in hindsight and see what else we might be able to pick up.
Solving crimes just like this. We need this. We need more staffing. We need a lot of things. But what I really
we need more staffing. We need a lot of things. Wow. Wow, Chris Nanos. You really divulged a lot more to us than we were really aware, eh? You really did. Let's keep listening.
I need the community's help with this. So I want to make sure I didn't, before I take any questions, it is a crime scene. We know that. She needs her daily medication. And anybody that sees anything that even looks, hey, maybe that's her, just take a quick picture. Take a video, send it to us. The number is real easy here locally. It's 911. You can contact our 88 crime and remain anonymous. You can call me. Anybody.
You can call me. Have you ever heard a sheriff give out their number before? I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not funny. But in hindsight, it truly is. It truly is. Very comical, Chris Nanos. Oh, sorry. Let's move on. Sorry, not sorry.
I am here to take any questions you may have. It will be a little limited. I apologize for that, but we do have a crime that we need to protect its integrity. I have here Sergeant David Stivers from our homicide team. He has been up all night, so bear with us if we are a little bit fuzzy in our answers and responses, but we're both here for any questions you may have. Let's start, please.
Recognizing your limitations, but can you elaborate at all on what makes you believe it's a crime scene as opposed to someone who left home and just couldn't find a way back?
Well, I think I told you she is very limited in her mobility, right? We know she didn't just walk out of there. That we know. There are other things at the scene that indicate there was she did not leave on her own. We know that.
If you if you don't have plate readers, is there a vehicle associated with this?
We're when I told you we're now at the phase where we're looking at all the technology, all of that is being evaluated as we speak. Let me say this: we've not just thrown our search and rescue team out there. They are going to be doing some door to door with our criminal investigation team. It is not just our homicide unit. All of our criminal investigation detectives. I went out last night to the scene. There were probably 100 cars out there, all from the sheriff's department, all working this case. It takes a lot of manpower and a lot of energy. This team of mine worked throughout the night. They continue to work. David's had zero sleep, but he and his team are working as hard as they can.
Is there anybody else associated with her, a caregiver, family member, acquaintance, who is also missing in some of your?
No. The family, all of the family has been very cooperative with us. They're working with us. They're staying in touch.
Now, notice how I'm just gonna go back, and I just want to notice something. When the question is asked, is there anyone like a caretaker, like a family? And Nanos goes, but then the question elaborates, like, not just family. He expands, but Nanos answers the family part only. And he goes, and that tells me, just my opinion, tells me from day one, they were looking in that direction. Let's rewind that just a slight bit. Look at the cock on the head. Huh? Ooh, he's curious there. Okay, watch that. Let's watch that again.
David's had zero sleep, but he and his team are working as hard as they can.
Is there anybody else associated with her, a caregiver, family member, acquaintance, who is also?
He's a little intrigued by that question. Now listen how he answers.
Missing in some of your?
No. The family, all of the family has been very cooperative with.
He doesn't even answer the question. He goes in to defend the family. Just a little curious. Overstating something that wasn't asked. I don't know. It's just a curious observation.
They're working with us. They're staying in touch with us. They have complete access to anybody on this department. Savannah has been in touch with us.
Don't forget the question was, has anybody else gone missing? Like a family, the caregiver, anybody related to Nancy that's also gone missing. And Nanos is defending the family cooperating. Just an observation.
As well. Our hearts go out to them. This is their mom. She's just a great lady from what I've heard, and I feel for the family. We just want to find her and bring her back safe.
Sheriff, you mentioned that she didn't just walk out, but is there any additional information that you can give us on what may have alluded to this being a crime scene?
I wish I could. I really do. I know that everybody wants to know certain things, but I can't do that it would be inappropriate at this time.
Are there signs of breaking and entering or any forced entry, anything like that?
I again don't want to get into that. David, can you see?
I don't want to get into that. That's one thing that a lot of the police, retired law enforcement and whatnot have said have been very helpful if he would just explain how the family got into the home when they just first discovered, A&T first discovered that Nancy wasn't there. And I understand that there's parts of the investigation. In fact, most of the investigation should not be explained and detailed out to the public. Let's go.
Anything here?
At this time, it's still a very active investigation. There were circumstances on scene that we believe are suspicious in nature, I think is the best way to put it. But we can't really get into a whole lot of details with that.
Do you believe that this was targeted, or they just happened to hit Savannah Guthrie's mom, or if this was just random?
We don't know that. We look at all of that. We just don't know that.
Remember that? We covered this. The family's watching. And this is super important. We covered this because the interview room, Chris and Karen went back here and realized something we all heard that we forgot about, The family's given him a script. He's going to talk about that if you missed that video that I did. And if you missed all my other videos and you're asking me questions, go back and watch them all, because we're not going back through my theory anymore. This is just a reporting, if you will, of the facts as they were, a hindsight look at the facts. I'm not giving you my theories anymore. I'm not giving you my psychic hits anymore. So let's just remind ourselves, though, of what we do know, which was what you're about to hear. His phone's ringing. And what does he tell us? That the family's given him a script to read, and he's not great with scripts. Let's keep listening.
Do they have cameras in the home?
They do, and we're looking through some of that. Yeah.
With this being an active crime scene, is there any threat to the general public?
Trying to figure out my phone.
I should figure out my phone. He's got two phones there. One's ringing. Both of them, well, one of them was ringing. He's trying to figure out which one. I should figure out my phone. Let's go.
Well, no, I don't think there's an active threat, but I hate to say that because, we're going to canvass that neighborhood and maybe there's a prowler been seen around.
I don't think there's an active threat. What do they know at the very beginning? Sounds like potentially more than we gave them credit for. Let's keep going.
There's a lot of work still to do. We don't have any indication that that the public is in danger.
And what does that search look like today beyond what you've already told us about last night?
So we have shut down our search and rescue mission, and we've sent them home to rest. They were out all night. Look, we put all our air assets into this. Our drone systems, our aircraft, our helicopters, heat sensors, infrared, everything we've had, we've thrown at this. They're going to step aside. We'll call them out again if we need to.
First press conference, and they're already removing the search and rescue. We'll call them out again if we need to. They don't believe they're going to take the precaution. Of course, they have to legally, but they don't believe she's anywhere close to the site at this point, because they're going to call them back if they have to.
To do more searching, but right now we don't see this as a search mission as much as we do a crime scene.
Sheriff, can you tell us a little bit about that map?
That is, and David probably can better answer it than I, but that is our search patterns, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So with all the assets that we deployed yesterday with the search and rescue teams, the map that's on the screen is basically tracks that were followed. Those are all, the colored lines are all ground tracks of different teams and different assets that were used on the ground, to include the canines, the volunteers, and our own search and rescue team. The circles are going to be representative, if not necessarily perfect, of our air circulation with both our helicopter and our fixed wing aircraft at night, working with the night time cameras. So difficult to see where the house is. This house is basically pretty close to center in that, and then all of the searching that went on throughout the day with those folks out there on the ground.
What this really helps with is our search teams, when they come back and reassess, maybe they've missed an area, we can look at it and say, hey, you know what, this area could use a little more coverage, and so they concentrate again. Our search and rescue team is top notch. They're out every single day. If it's not a lost person, it's a hiker, it's somebody who's wandered away.
Now that is factual. The search and rescue team out there are some of the absolute best, but they don't believe they're going to find Nancy out there at this point. This is the very first press conference.
From a care home, whatever it may be. I want to stress to you, and it is really important, Miss Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie, is of great sound mind. This is not a dementia related. She is as sharp as a tack. The family wants everybody to know this isn't somebody who just wandered off. Her physical limits are based on just age and, you get old. And so it's more physical, but clearly she is as sharp as a tack.
Do you have her cell phone, and does that present any tracking potential?
We're looking at that as we speak.
If you have it or do you not?
We do have it.
Can you give us a little bit more of a timeline? Because you said she didn't leave
So she left without her cell phone, and they have it, and they're looking at it.
on her own. She was last seen at 9:45. She wasn't reported missing until noon. But
I believe what happened there was at 9:45 in the evening, her children left her off. At some time earlier that morning, they got a call from somebody at the church who said, hey, your mom's not here. The family went to the house I'm thinking they spent some time looking for her themselves before.
I'm trying to make up an excuse for the missing hour. I'm thinking here. I'm thinking that they tried to do this. I'm thinking, yeah. My smoke's gonna come out of your ears if you keep trying to think too hard about this one.
Where they called this one. I'm guessing maybe they got there around 11. So they did some.
I'm guessing maybe they got there around 11, like something ain't adding up, and he knows it with this timeline, and he's trying to piece it together for the family, and he's trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, or he's trying to give us the impression he's going to give them the benefit of the doubt. This is so interesting to go through in hindsight. What do you think? And by the way, as I said, I'm going to go through every day. We're going to do this. We're going to recap one day at a time in hindsight, this review of the activities starting day 1, tomorrow day 2. And then after this video, I'm going to do another video of what typical law enforcement officers do compared to what they did. And that'll be after this. So if you want to watch all of this and you want to just continue watching video 2, feel free. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Searching and realized we need some help, and they called 911.
Do you have any idea what time Nancy would have been taken from the home?
There's a lot of things working there, and I just can't say that right now.
Has Savannah Guthrie, has she had any threats to herself at all?
We've spoken to her. We'll continue to work with that. She has a security team that's been in touch with us throughout the night. But we're not going to dismiss any angles for sure. But right now, immediately, we don't know of anything like that.
Is she in town or on the way here?
She's here.
Can you give us any more? What should somebody be looking for? Because when I was out in the neighborhood, the neighbors are obviously incredibly concerned. But is there anything, a tip? I mean, one neighbor stopped me and he didn't know if he should call you or not.
Oh my goodness.
But so what should
one neighbor didn't know if he should call you or not. Yeah. Well, when we're looking at this second video I was talking about, we're going to look at, do people normally call the sheriff with tips? Let's go. It's kind of curious. Oh, God. Gotta find some humor. I gotta find some humor. It's definitely not funny. Trust me. I, of all people, know how not funny this is at this moment. But sometimes it's incredibly stressful. We got to find a little bit of humor in the dark. We got to remain hopeful. We got to remain positive. We got to remain high vibe and optimistic. And sometimes that just means a little laugh.
What should somebody be looking for?
Well, first of all, I'd ask them, go through their cameras. Go through their Ring cameras, whatever cameras they may have. Don't dismiss it that, oh, well, we really can't see the house. They still might see something. Maybe it's somebody walking by. Maybe it's a vehicle driving by at that time of day. But go through all your cameras in that neighborhood and tell us if you see something. Maybe somebody already, we know this happens, right? Oh, I saw something suspicious, but I didn't think it was worth calling in, so I didn't call it in. Well, now it's call in anything you've seen or heard. Maybe it's a neighbor telling you, I saw this or I heard that. Call us. Don't tell the neighbor to call us. Tell the neighbor to call us, but you call us as well. We'll put it together. We'll get, trust me, I'm sure we're going to get inundated with a lot of calls. We'll handle that.
Did she live alone?
I believe, yes, she did. Yeah.
Were there any caregivers who are normally associated with her?
Well, she has house staff that comes by, takes care of the yard, whatever, in her house and that. But those people we'll be talking with that have talked to some of them already.
But nobody's like living in her.
Nobody actually lives with her. No. Like I say, she's of great sound mind and she is mobile. It's just, it's a challenge for her to get, as the family says, she couldn't walk 50 yards.
There we go. See, we were told that at the very beginning, she couldn't walk 50 yards.
Somebody asked about the FBI.
I'm sorry.
Somebody asked about the FBI.
We, like I said, we work closely with all of our partners, whether they're the FBI, ATF, ICE, whoever. We know that they have certain capabilities.
Because they since came out with an ICE statement, but we won't diverge into that low vibration conversation. And it wasn't necessarily Nanos, it was the administration.
Abilities and certain resources, just as we have certain capabilities and resources. So yes, we'll continue to work with them, and they've offered assistance to us. We accept that assistance, and we offer assistance. But just last week, the FBI called us to handle a shooting that involved Border Patrol. You need to know that. That's just day-to-day routine work for the law enforcement in Pima County in Tucson.
Okay. Well, now as we go back in hindsight, we learn that as much as he's saying he likes to cooperate with other agencies, that ain't necessarily the full story, but we won't digress there because we will do that as that comes up in our coverage when that starts to come up in the news. But it's very interesting in hindsight.
Work very closely with our partners.
With the amount of time that's gone by, how wide do you cast in the net? Statewide, national?
Well, yes, national for sure. I'm hoping the national media's picked up on this. We've gotten a lot of reports, but statewide as well, with Amber Alerts, things like that. All of those things we use. Every tool we have, we will use.
Very good.
You guys are too easy. Thank you so much. I apologize for being late. I apologize for.
And this guy's like, huh, you guys are too easy. He's like, I'm going to step forward here because there's something I need to say. And he bends down his head to just show respect. Okay, Sheriff, I know you're my lead agent or my boss, our lead rather. But I got something to say here. Watch this.
My political rhetoric of the Board of Supervisors or the City Council, I just get so frustrated. And
political rhetoric. Here we go. Nobody asked him about political rhetoric, Nanos. Nobody asked you about the political rhetoric. Interesting. Let's go.
And we just can't do this job without their support. We don't need.
Oh, he's going to be like, okay, he's not going to let me speak. I'm going to step back.
Political statements from the dais and mumbo jumbo. We need them to.
He's looking at him like, okay, be quiet now. Do you see that roll of the eye? Political statements. Let's go.
Out their support. We don't need political statements from the dais and mumbo jumbo.
He's looking at him like, shut up. Look at the look on his face. Shut up. Just shut up, will you, dude? Shut up. Sorry, that's what he's thinking. Look, let's go.
Need them to listen to their law enforcement leaders and really pay attention to the fact that we understand that there's a great potential for abuses in today's world with the technology that's available to us. But you have to, at some point in time, have some faith and trust in your leadership in the law enforcement community to know and understand that we too were elected here to provide us.
See, he's talking about himself. He's the only elected. He's like, we too were elected here. You're the only person standing at the podium who's been elected. You're the only one in the entire department who was elected. Everybody else was hired. You were the only person. So who's the we? We've been elected here. Why is he bringing this up now? Why is he bringing up the heat that's going to come down on him on the first press conference? And nobody asked him. Nobody asked him. Why is he volunteering that information? No wonder why the guy's stepping forward going like, shut your mouth. Okay, let's keep going.
Service to our community. I can't think of a community in this planet that wouldn't tell you, number one is public safety. Everybody just wants to be able to know that they can go outside and enjoy their community and come home and be safe at night in their rooms, sleep in bed. And this lady wasn't able to accomplish that. That's a sad statement. We need her back. We need to find her. And time is very critical. She's 84. She needs her meds. Her family needs her too. Thank you so much for being here.
Doesn't have David say his first and last name and spelling.
Oh, sure. My name is Sergeant David, common spelling David, Stivers, STIV as in Victor, ERS.
So what's your title?
Sergeant.
Thank you, guys. And if we get more as things develop, we'll call you back.
And that's his purse. That has been described, the gentleman on the left with the black shirt on and the blue shirt rather, and the blue tie has been described as his public information officer. I'm not sure how we know that for sure, but he didn't utilize them. And he didn't let the other guy talk. This guy. Who is this guy? What's his commanding role?
And time is very critical.
Him?
She's 84. She needs her meds. Her family needs her too. Thank you so much for being here.
Doesn't have David say his first and last name and spelling.
Oh, sure. My name is Sergeant David.
Sergeant David. He is a sergeant. He's pretty high up. And he didn't let him even speak. And he's the one at this point investigating the case?
I'm spelling D-A-V-I-D, Stivers, S-T-I-V as in Victor, E-R-S.
What's your title?
Stivers, S-T-I-V-E-R-S.
Sergeant.
Sergeant. The guy should have been given more respect than he was commanded. That's just my opinion. But, and he knew to bow down and bow back when he wasn't going to be given a chance to speak.
Thank you, guys. And if we get more as things develop, we'll call you back. I hope I talk loud.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Okay. There we have the first presser. The first presser. So there you have it. This is the day one coverage of Nancy's disappearance. And by the end of day one, investigators are working with what is not a complete story, is a framework. And a last known point has been established. A window of uncertainty has been identified and the investigation has begun, but there are still gaps. And those gaps are what will really shape everything on that follows. So, you know, she did not show up for her church group online meeting that she met with her friends for regularly. And that was out of ordinary. She's missing her medication. She's 84 years old. She has life-dependent medication. The scene at the house has left them with the sense that this is a crime. They are now calling in help and resources. And, you know, we don't know everything, but they seem to know in hindsight, maybe a little bit more than we thought. So that's everything so far from day one. And again, in the next video, I'm going to step away from the timeline and focus on something just as important. And that is what investigators actually look for in the first 24 hours of a case like this and why those early hours matter more than anything that follows. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all the new members and subscribers. Much love. We will see you in the next video.